So one more quick video before I'm kind of drained for the week. One thing I'll use this as an analogy too. Why not? So one thing I notice is that people get really defensive. We as humans, it's really humans. It's only ever humans. No, you don't see animals or any other thing on this earth doing this. So basically, we as humans get super, super, super upset when someone points out the obvious or calls us out on our BS, right? So for example, we have gotten so sensitive in today's society to the point of where you can't tell someone they're overweight. Now, am I sitting here saying that you should walk up to everyone you see who's overweight and tell them, no? But, like, for example, we try to act like we don't know the obvious, and it's not helpful. For example, a lot of people in today's society, like, they act very surprised when someone doesn't find them attractive for a dead obvious reason. For example, I'll just give a simple one. They don't shower often, right? And that's obviously not a good thing. You should be showering constantly, right? You don't have to shower every day, but you should be showering every other day. So for example, you should be showering at least 5 times a week. 5 to 6 times a week, really, right? Especially in the summer. The summer, it's debatable. In the summer and a little after the summer, it's debatable that you can shower pretty much every day, really. Anyway, even if you don't go outside, I don't think people understand this, but just because you don't go outside does not mean you don't stink. If you sit in one place, think of a human being as a piece of food. You're an organic thing. You're an organic piece of material. That's not to diminish you, but you are organic. So at the end of the day, if something organic sits in one place, in one room, in one spot for hours and hours and days and weeks on end, the place will eventually begin to stink and the human will begin to stink. And the only way you can solve that once it gets to a certain point is by cleaning the room out and then cleaning the human too. Right? If you ever put a piece of bread on someplace and just leave it there for a week, it starts to mold. Just a week. So in just a week, a piece of bread starts to mold. Now you're much bigger and much more complex, and you have many more folds and crevices and tight places like joints and all that than a piece of bread does. So you can imagine that you'd have developed so much more dirt and so much more muck and grime than a piece of bread would. A piece of bread just gets to decompose and all that, and then it's over with. And you can only smell the piece of bread when you get within a certain distance of it. You are much bigger than a piece of bread, and you're a moving, living object. So those, all that dirt in your joints, all that muck and grime, every little crevice of your body, every little tight spot you can think of, right behind your ears, your forehead creases, right, the ones I'm doing right now, every place that gets really dirty really fast. So that's why you need to continuously clean yourself. Now that we're done talking about why you should clean yourself often, which I don't think people get, we're going to go back to yet again calling people out. People don't like being called out. So for example, people who are skinny and always complain about being skinny or complain about how they need to go to the gym, they don't like getting called out for doing that, right? People don't like getting called out for being overweight. For example, a lot of people will complain about how someone doesn't want to, I saw one girl complain about how a lot of guys don't walk up to her. And she was like, oh, guys don't talk to me. Guys don't ever talk to me. When I talk to them, I have a friend of mine. And she even said it herself. She admitted to the fact. What she said was this. She said her friend was gorgeous and this, that, and the third. She showed a picture of her friend. If you pay attention to the difference between her and her friend was in shape. That was the first thing that she noticed. Her friend was in shape and she wasn't in shape. Right? And she's like, it's just so diminishing to the meaning to see that this man would give his attention to her before he'd ever even look at me. When I'm engaging with him, I'm giving him my full attention. It's like, okay, well, clearly there's a difference. He doesn't want to engage with someone who is overweight because, believe it or not, when you don't do things or do things, it sends a message to people. For example, when you walk around with your shoelaces untied and just don't tie them, that sends a message to people that you're lazy and you might just kind of be stupid, right? When you don't watch your weight and watch what you eat, it sends a message to people that you don't have self-control and a bunch of other things, right? Like, for example, people who are fat often get dirtier much faster than people who are skinny, because yet again, more crevices, more places for dirt to lurk, and a bunch of other places. And this is just me being barely honest. I learned this from my dad, and my dad's a doctor, so I know this, or I've been known this. I've known this since I was 2. That's why my dad never let me eat the stuff I wanted to eat because he didn't want me to get fat. Not that I probably would have, because I do have a very fast metabolism, so I don't get fat. I don't gain weight at all unless I really want to try. But regardless, a lot of kids I see today and a lot of people my age are overweight. But anyway, getting back to the point. Yet again, take this as 2 messages. One, don't get upset when someone calls you out for something. Don't get upset when someone calls you out for something that's obvious. Don't get upset when someone calls you out for something that you should already be working on. Right? Like, for example, I'm trying to learn Spanish right now. I should be practicing to speak Spanish with people Every time I see people who speak Spanish. So something someone could call me out for is, Sam, you said you were supposed to practice Spanish. You don't speak with anybody who you know that speaks Spanish. All the people you see who speak Spanish, you're speaking English to them. You should be struggling and failing to speak Spanish to them. And someone might sit there and say, that's super critical. But no, it's not. If I'm not struggling at all, or I'm not even making an attempt to speak Spanish with people, and I'm just sitting there all day on an app learning to speak Spanish, that doesn't help me because I'm never learning to use those phrases in the heat of the moment. Guess what? Life is the heat of the moment. And when you sit there and read a book all day and have your nose in a book all day and you're never out there in the field doing stuff, you're not going to learn to do stuff under pressure. And guess what? Every moment of your life, you're under pressure to do something, right? You're under pressure to walk. If you never learned how to walk before, then you're not going to know how to walk. But you know how to walk because you've been doing it your whole life. You've been putting pressure on your legs your whole life, so your legs are used to walking continuously, so it becomes no problem at all. So if I continuously put myself in points of pressure where I have to speak Spanish and I have to try to remember words off the top of my head and on the fly and remember phrases, I'm going to be good at Spanish. And eventually, I'll know Spanish like the back of my hand. And if I don't know Spanish like the back of my hand, I'll continue to put myself in those pressured points where I have to. And eventually, I won't have to say lo siento every time I don't know or remember how to say a word, right? I won't have to tell them I don't understand something, right? So continuously put like that pressure on yourself. If you know, pay attention right now. Look at yourself. What could someone call you out for right now? Generally, what could someone call anything? Your lips are chapped. I see dirt in your face. Your breath stinks, right? Your nails are super long, which, speaking of which, I need to clip my nails. I haven't been able to find my nail clipper. I'm probably just going to go buy one real quick after this video. But anyway, they're not super long right now, but they're getting to that point, and I don't like them being that long. They're not even long, actually. Like they say they're like a centimeter, but I still like my nails getting long. I keep them pretty close cut. Anyway, right, in school, yo, son, don't you have a D in class? Pick it up. Seriously, just pick it up. You got to lock in. Life really isn't a game. And if it is a game, it's a hard game. It's not an easy one, so lock in. You only have one. It's a hardcore one, too. You can screw your life up by just continuing to let yourself get caught up in things that people would call you out for, or people can call you out for, and you don't fix. Call yourself out. Like, I'm not trying to have a low-tier guy moment. You should kill yourself now. No. You should call yourself out now. You should call yourself out now. Seriously, call yourself out now. Oh my gosh, I stink. Oh my gosh, I gotta do laundry. Oh my gosh, I gotta fold my sheets. Oh my gosh, I gotta get this bed clean. Right? I'm calling myself out right now. There's no reason my beds look like this. As a matter of fact, as soon as I'm done with this video, this bed is getting cleaned. As soon as I'm done. As soon as I post it and everything, this bed is getting cleaned. Call yourself out on stuff. Oh, I'm not spending enough time with God. Call yourself out on that. You know, I'm gaining a little bit of weight. Call yourself out on that. And then when you call yourself out on it, like I said, do something about it. When people and this is why people often say that we need bullying back. It's not because people like enjoy hurting people's feelings. No, it's a part of that, obviously, because that's the whole joke. People are cynical and they like making cynical jokes. But the reason is when people get bullied about stuff, they do stuff about it. As long as it's something they can do something about it. If someone bullies you about why you have D's and C's, chances are you're going to do two things. You're either going to sit and mope about it and mope about how everyone's bullying you because you're doing bad in school, which is probably something you can fix, or you're going to do something about it and get your grades up. Call yourself out. Seriously. And like I keep on flashing back to that moment where low tier God says you should kill yourself now. Absolutely foolish message. I get low tier God is like, you know, making a cynical joke, but still. Call yourself out now. And then when you call yourself out, do something about it. I literally just recently made a video about this cup and another cup. I don't have the other cup with me because I had protein and I drank it all. But anyway, fill yourself up with good stuff, bro. Call yourself out. If you notice you're super skinny and you can be stronger, if you notice that you can be bigger, do something about it. Call yourself out. Like, seriously. I know a lot of guys who are skinny and don't need to be skinny. Now, if you don't need to be strong either, that's fine. But I'm just going to be honest with you. There's really not much reason for a guy to be skinny. There's not much reason for any of you guys out there to be weighing 130 and not being able to bench your body weight. This isn't me trying to motivate you to go to the gym, but I'm just pointing out stuff to you that someone could call you out for. And they'd be absolutely right to. For example, if you're talking really big to someone who is, and when I say big, you know what I'm talking about. You talking sweet to somebody. You know exactly what I'm talking about. To all those who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. To those of you who don't do this then, so you don't need to worry about it. But to those of you who talk sweet to people, like you know them like that, and you're built like a shrimp, go to the gym. And I guess for my final message, because I didn't expect this video to be this long, we're closing on 10 minutes. It's like I said, do something about it. Call yourself out. Do something about it. That's it. That's all I got.